So I'm Shane. If you haven't already gotten that, um, I'm the director of the of customer experience here at Booth.Events. Been with the company for a little bit. Probably I started in July, so that's how long I've been here. This has kind of been my sort of thing that I've been working on a lot lately, which is our prompting experience and what that kind of looks like, sounds like, and trying to bring enablement to people as we go through. A reminder just in the beginning, the feature is in beta, so it is sometimes you will get unexpected results. That's why we have the reroll. The other thing to keep in mind is we are continually adding features, and I'll go through some of the features that we added since the last time I ran this workshop, or webinar, which was 2 weeks ago. So we are consistently trying to be as agile as we can when it comes to updating the feature set and also addressing any issues or bugs or ways that we can make the experience better for all of you. So today I'm going to just quickly go through what prompts are, um, game planning a prompt, and then we'll take some suggestions and go through Q&A. So pretty straightforward. I would imagine most of our time, because it is a smaller group, will be in building and iterating, and we'll try and have some fun with that. All right. So this is basically how our system works when it comes to AI prompts. It is different than general AI prompting, and this is something that's, I think, a little hard for people to wrap their head around sometimes. It took me a while to understand this, but traditionally with AI and prompting, you go through a AI model and you ask it questions and you basically iterate and get an answer. With us, when it comes to the photo booth experience, the first input you're always going to have is the photo booth photo. So the photo from you in the event, and then that photo is going to run through the model and you're going to get your output image. This is crucial because what this means is the prompt that you write needs to take this into account. And it's different than when you go to external resources like ChatGPT, or even if you run it in Google Gemini or Nano Banana or whatever Claude, whatever AI model you want to use to try and help you build the prompts. Those prompts that you build generally do not take this into consideration because this is a unique format and not necessarily a traditional way in which AI is used currently. It is something to take into account when you're writing your prompts. That's why we try and give you a little flavor text at the beginning to guide you down the route. What I've seen so far is a lot of people will go to ChatGPT, get it to make a prompt, which is really great. The prompt looks good. They put it in the system and it doesn't work. And the reason that a lot of that happens is it doesn't take into account the fact that this is going to be run from a photo booth with an input photo as the first reference photo every time. So if you can kind of keep that in your head when you're writing your prompts, it'll really be helpful. A lot of people will give AI models personas. So when they're writing the prompts, you can try and give it that flavor text. Help me craft a prompt for an AI photo booth. There is going to be a reference image in which I'm going to want to manipulate, the subjects in the input photo into this thing, and then help it. It can kind of help you craft that, but you will need to tweak it still. You will need to test and iterate it, and that's kind of the key. And I've kind of already spoiled this. I kind of went through how it works. But beyond that, we have a really great article, AI Prompts 101. I wrote this, and this kind of goes through different prompting best practices, different ways in which you can enrich your experience when it comes to our prompting tool, and kind of gives you the breakdown of everything. This is available on our help desk. It's titled AI Prompts 101. And we recently released this second article because it is a little bit confusing. We do have two features that use AI. We have our AI portraits and our AI prompts. You may be thinking, well, what is the difference? How do they benefit me? And this article is a great resource for you to refer to see which tool is best for you in the moment and best for your clients. One important thing here, it's kind of at the very bottom there, but AI portraits requires at least a pro level event. That means pro credits, pro subscription, or pro plus subscription, whereas AI portraits is purely only available on pro plus subscriptions. So this is the format, and this is the best way that I can break it down for people when it comes to prompting. You want to give the AI model a task. You want to tell it what to do. You want to give it context. You want to help it see what you want the output to be. You want to give it references. So basically show it what you mean. And then you want to make sure you're using iterations. There's never really been a time where I've created a prompt in a one shot and it's been perfect. I've had to continually iterate on prompts every single time. Whether that be it works great with solo people but doesn't work with group people, or works great with groups but doesn't work good with solo. There's a lot of tweaking and iterating that you need to do in order to make sure that your AI prompt kind of casts the biggest net of success. And a lot of the time, it's just sometimes something as simple as how to format the prompt. Maybe you have the the description for a group too low, too far down in the prompt, and it kind of doesn't really flow very well when it meets the model. So sometimes moving that up will help. There's a lot of tricks that you can use. One of the major things that I find is people try and give the AI specific negative prompts like no cars, um, you know, no brands, things like that. I find a lot of the time more success with trying to let the AI model paint the picture and just kind of give it, instead of no cars, an empty street that's deserted and there's no traffic on it. Or when it comes to unbranded things, I literally just say with unbranded clothes instead of saying no logos, because it will generally try and create a logo, and it may be a fake logo or maybe really close to a logo. Um, I find those type of things work better when it comes to prompting. So if you can kind of put your headspace in there when you're writing a prompt, so instead of saying no, a lot of the time telling it what you want is a more successful route. So I would recommend taking that. Another important piece that we touched on a little bit is organizing your prompt. I find organizing it from the most important to the least important is key to success. So a lot of the time, the very first thing I want to touch on is the subject. And like I said, it's different in AI photo booths than it is in general AI models, because the subject is given to the model right away. So it's the most important piece. Getting the people right is the most important thing. So I always start with the subject. I always start with a little bit of the style that I want the output to be in, whether that be photorealistic, 18-bit, 16-bit, abstract, Renaissance, oil, Renaissance, whatever it is. I give it a little bit of that flavor, and then I talk directly about the subjects in that same breath to make sure that that is the most important thing and that gets established right away. So you'll see in a lot of the default prompts that I've written, the first thing is talking about the subjects. The second, following that generally is, preserving the unique facial features and bone structure of the people. I find that brings a lot of success. Now, when I was making this webinar, I'm a huge comedy fan. So hopefully some of you are familiar with the game show, Whose Line Is It Anyways, a great improv game show from the 90s and 2000s, and it's still actually airing. And I wanted to try and make myself a part of that game show. So I made this AI image. It isn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it is good enough in that I was able to make a bald man who kind of resembles me in this kind of blurry 90s VHS style on set and replace that with Drew Carey. And I think it's kind of convincing enough for what I needed it for. This isn't going to be something I'm going to run at a photo booth, at a wedding, or at a seminar or anything like that, but just for fun, this is what I've made. So I'm going to break down how I kind of made this, because when I first made it, I thought it was quite impressive. Hopefully you feel the same. If you don't, I totally get why you may not, but we'll go through that. So I started with this input image of myself. Not great, quite bad in fact. Less of a beard, more gums, but that's kind of where I started with my reference image. And you can see the prompt that I put in here. Put the subject from the first photo behind the hostess on the American sitcom, Whose Line Is It Anyways? Make the picture photorealistic with the crowd, have the subject in a suit, use the second image for the environment and set, replace the person behind the desk with the subject from the first reference photo, match the grainy, distorted 90s broadcast TV vibe. So, or style, I should say. So this was the reference photo I used, right? You can see Drew Carey over there. You can see the crop is a little bit different. So it's gone and manipulated that and made this as the output. So again, not terrible, but to prove the point of kind of how far you can take it, to place it in this kind of really poorly broadcast quality photo as a reference, that's what we're able to do. And I'm going to show you this live. We're going to try and do it live in the Whose Line Is It Anyway style. We're going to take suggestions from you in the chat. We'll make some filters. We'll go through some iterations. I'll try and talk you through how my brain is processing it or how I'm thinking about it. By no stretch of the imagination is my way the optimal perfect outcome. This is just kind of what's led me to the success that I currently experience in the AI experience. And some of you may have better tools or better resources or better ways of doing it. And I would love to hear them so we can kind of spread that knowledge. But in the meantime, I'm going to stop sharing and switch to my browser so I can go through some iterations. In the meantime, if you want to throw in the chat any suggestions you may have in terms of what you want to create or what you want to see. So we've got a vinyl cover, a record cover for an event that came through. Anything else? I know a lot of people want to see wedding stuff, some Christmas stuff. If you have any specifics or anything that's kind of in your brain that you'd like to see done, throw it in the chat and we'll create it together. So I'm going to jump into the AI prompts area. You can see some of the stuff that I've worked on or working on, all these up here, and then our public prompts all down here. So right now we have 33 that are active. We are looking to come up with a little bit of a better way of sorting those. That is to come. We're hoping to continually add. I added recently a American Thanksgiving filter that people can chop up and use as they want. But I'm going to do the vinyl. I prefer calling vinyl records. So I'm just going to say record cover. The event that requested the record cover, was it like a birthday party or a wedding, or what kind of event was it? And you can see here, there's some custom reference photos I have here. Some couples, some groups. We recommend groups with up to 3. That's best for us. Best for the model. If you go over 3, you can get some unpredictable results where it'll generate the same face multiple times or leave a certain person out or not style a certain person. So we found the most success with 3 people, up to 3 people. So you can see here, we have our flavor text, create an image where the subjects from the first image are blank by blank. We could kind of start it there. This is new. We used to have a different flavor text, so we just updated this to make it a little bit better. And you can see we also moved this unsaved changes. If anybody's used this before, it used to be down in the corner, blocking the text, which was brutal. So we were able to move that up. All right, so let's start with the record, and then we'll go. I got an iconic movie poster. I can do that for sure. Okay, create an image where the subjects from the first photo, or sorry, where the subjects from the first image are on the cover of a 12-inch. I try and get specific. Vague will take you all over the place. So knowing that there's different styles of records, I'm going to go with a 12-inch record cover. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little bit more flavor in the opening. I want this to be photorealistic, so I'm going to give it that, create a photorealistic image where the subjects. Okay, great. One important thing here is the reason that subject with a bracket S is here is because it will work best for group and solo, in my experience. Any personal nouns, any nouns, anything like that, they, them, their, I find that it really will mess with the model. I try and just use subjects. Don't use any words like should. Um, it really will mess things up. You want to be absolute in what you're looking for, and you want to use subjects. Um, Something as little as grammar can really change the output image and be the one flip you need to make to get something that works great with solo people to groups. So we're going to go from here. Okay. They're on the cover, record cover. Great. Preserve the unique facial features and bone structure of the subject. So again, we want to make sure that that is clear. We want the output image to look like the people who are at our booth. Okay, bone structure of the subjects. The subjects are in a, let's say, 80s glam rock band wearing so I'm going to go a little bit more general because I don't really at this point. I want to kind of see where I land, and then I'm going to go more into detail. Okay, great. Let's see where we get just with this. This is super high level, super basic. And we'll kind of see where we land and then go from there. Basically, what I'm thinking about here is I'm seeing an image in my head, and I'm trying to communicate that and explain what the image is. I mean, that's not terrible off the jump. It's created a random name for me and a random name for the cover, Electric Hearts. Okay. Neon Pyre. That's an interesting name. Okay. So we can kind of see where we started. I'm going to tweak this a little bit. The record is in the hand, is in a photorealistic hand and being held in a record shop. The racks of records are soft focused in the background. I'm going to give it some atmosphere. The photo is shot on 35 millimeter or on a 35 millimeter lens. Lens on. Let's try and give it some warmth, like kind of film, like analog film. So the photo shot on a 35 millimeter lens on let's go with Kodak Portra film. Let's see if we can get that highlighting the warmth and texture of traditional film photography. Okay, so let's see what this gives me. Give it a little bit more context. And I see more people are joining. If you want to see anything or go through some iterations of prompts you want to see in action, feel free to throw it in the chat and we'll kind of go through those live. So you can see we've got something more in line with what I've asked for. How does this look? It doesn't really look too much like me. So we're not quite there. Okay. Record is photorealistic. Okay. I'm happy with all of that. Something The subjects are in wearing glam. Okay. So let's get more specific in the glam rock clothing. So again, I put they. I don't want to do that. I want to refer to the subject. Are wearing, I think glam rock people wear tights, animal print, and hair sprayed. 80s hair, preserve their skin. Let's see if this works without makeup. I think the makeup is what's losing us. Facial, let's see where we go. You do not need to specify whether you want the photo in a 4:6 portrait vertical or 4:6 landscape. That is determined by the template you assign it to. Whatever template you use, the AI is going to output the image in that. So if you assign your AI prompt to a landscape template, and that landscape template has a landscape photo area, sorry, excuse me, the photo area is what determines that, you'll get a landscape output. If you have a landscape template with a portrait photo area, you will get a portrait AI output. Hope that makes sense. Let me know if I need to clarify that. I think we're in way better shape here now. That's pretty dang good for solo. So let's see. I mean, he's holding the guitar backwards, but yeah. Let's see. Let's try a couple. See how they look. Can you try to have bad holiday sweaters? Yeah, I could try that. We'll do that next. There you go. That's a group. I think it maintained. No, yeah, that's them. I would say that's pretty good. Except the interesting thing is it gave them legs outside of the album. So let's regenerate that and see. One thing to keep in mind is the fact that what you see here is just me doing previews. So when I click the magnifying glass to view it, it's going to automatically give it to me in this kind of format, because when I save the preview, it's going to be a square automatically. The reason that we went this way is, again, the photo areas that you use, it will either be able to expand horizontally or vertically, depending on if you use portrait or landscape. So that's pretty good. Yeah, I will throw it in the chat. I'll actually, the point of the outcome of these would be for me to take whatever filters we build today, and I'm actually just going to put them in public prompts so everyone will have access to them, and you can build off them, chop them as you'd like. One cool thing you can do as well is you can specify what you want the band name to be, things of that nature. I do find sometimes, because AI is unpredictable, you will get random text, or you'll get just kind of like AI slop that comes out. So anytime there's text, I always recommend, if there's a way that you can statically produce it on the template, it's preferred over getting AI to do it, but you would be able to specify that. Okay, let's try a group of 3 people. So there's 2. I think that's looking pretty good. Do 3. I've got dogs here. That's my dog. Just because I wanted to see, can I do AI with dogs, and was having some fun with it, putting them in Toronto Blue Jays baseball uniforms and things of that nature. Okay, so that looks like it kind of changed them. So let's see if I can run that again. One thing here I used there, I want to change that to subjects. There you go. That's a much better outcome there. Again, it gives them the legs. So we could give it a constraint of saying, to keep it all in to keep it all in the frame in the album cover, because it seems to be doing that. And it seems to be giving me more random with 3 people. Held in a record shop. Okay. Let's try and move this. Move this up. Record. I'm going to just make it title of the band The Bad Boothers. Title of the album. Let's go with album. I'm going to move up this piece here. Record cover. Period. Preserve the K. The record. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Andrew, I've seen something very similar. I had it create. That's not bad. There you go. I've had it create like cards, collectible cards. It gave me the bald eagle of justice, which I thought was interesting. And Robert, right now we are working on dynamic text input. We don't have a designated date on release yet, but it is something we are actively working on. There you go, the Bad Boothers debut album. Boom. That's pretty cool, right? All right. So I think we're good on the record cover front. So I'm gonna create another one. I think we had both movie poster and bad sweaters. So let's see if we can combine the two together. Holiday sweater. What do we want to call the movie? Holiday sweater. I'm just going to go holiday sweater. And then we'll come up with something as we write the prompt. Okay. So again, create an image where the subjects from the first image are. Okay. So I'm going to chop this up because I already know what I want. Create an image where subjects from the first image are. Okay. So we know we want a movie poster. So I'm going to change this and I'm going to go create a movie poster where the subjects from the first image are stuck in or are the stars of the movie. The subjects are, I want to preserve their facial features, preserve the facial features. I find unique facial features works best. Facial features and bone structure of the subjects. Okay. Now I'm going to go with the subjects are dressed in ugly Christmas sweaters. I think it's what we wanted. Christmas sweaters. I'm going to give some more context to the sweaters because I think that that's an important thing. As I'm wearing wool, I think wool is. I hope you weren't talking about my sweater first of all, because I think it's a very nice sweater. But if you were, no offense taken. And I'm going to go with the ugly Christmas sweaters. The Christmas sweaters are made of wool. I had to think about how to spell wool there. That was crazy. Okay. The Christmas sweaters, I want a capital C on Christmas. wool and feature traditional Christmas characters badly knit into the sweaters. Okay, place the subjects in the center of the movie poster. So I want to give it some context because I'm building a movie poster. I want to be very specific about, I spelled center wrong, I think, and I'm just going to go middle of the movie poster. And I want to give them some context about how I want them posed in a traditional movie poster collage. Let's see what that gives us. Movie poster collage. The title of the movie is The Ugly Sweater. What do we want to call it? The Ugly Sweater, or let's go with is called Ugly Sweater Syndrome. And maybe the movie's about you wear an ugly sweater, you go into the office, everybody else gets infected by the joy of wearing an ugly sweater. So then everybody wears ugly sweaters. And now we've created this massive infection called ugly sweater syndrome. There you go. I just wrote you a movie. Take that to the Hallmark Channel and you can sell it. I'll take 50% of the proceeds. Let's give it some mood and some atmosphere. The mood of the poster is joyful, cheerful, and full of Christmas spirit. The movie the poster features I'm going to try and see if I can make it say that the movie will be on the Hallmark Channel. The poster features the availability of the movie on the Hallmark Channel December 25th. Okay, let's just see what this gives us, and we'll go from there. Besides the community, is there a private YouTube link where my collaborators can watch these webinars? All of these webinars are available on our public YouTube channel. We don't have a private YouTube channel, but it's a YouTube channel you can send to whoever you want. They can view it. It's not white labeled. It's not branded, custom branded, but you'll be able to view them. This one, the original one, which is the intro to Booth.Events, and then Tim's printing webinar will all be there. This is kind of where we got. It's not terrible. Got some random people in the background. Seems like it really loves the Mad Men approach to people. So we could give it more context. Let's see. What do we want the background to be? The title of the movie is okay. So now let's give some context to what's behind the person in the center. The background is a collage of just ugly Christmas sweaters. Give the border of the poster realistic Christmas lights. Okay. Let's see how we're looking. And you can kind of see, I like to kind of cast the big net, see where I get, and then kind of narrow it down, narrow it down, narrow it down. All right, it gave me three, including a weird, I don't know what this creature is over here, but that is highly bizarre. It's like a weird demon child. That's must be what is the bad Santa Claus called? The shadow of Santa Claus. Okay, so we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So let's give it more. Place the subjects in the middle of the movie poster. I'm going to take away this collage piece because I have that covered in the back. Maybe that'll give us something better. The moon poster, playful, great. Let's give the color realistic, multicolored because I'm a multicolored Christmas light person. I know some people are straight white lights. They like white lights and that kind. But I like a little color in my life when it comes to the Christmas lights, which reminds me of my childhood. Christmas lights. Okay. Let's see if we got rid of that weird demon child and the triple collage in the front. I didn't really enjoy that much. Let's see how we look. And then basically, once I get it nailed down with one person, I'll move to a group, like I'll move to a pair, then move to three. I think that's way better. I did like how the original one had the sweater text. So I could kind of give it that specificity if I wanted to keep that going forward. You know, making sure that the title of the movie, the typeface looked like it was stitched with wool, showing texture, things of that nature. Let's try it with a duo. These are two people at an actual event shot on a roaming booth. It was on our Facebook community group. As I was trying to troubleshoot their prompt for them, I started using it as a reference photo because for me, it's something where it's a harsh light in the fields. So it's a great representation of what this could look like on somebody just walking around with a roaming booth and an off-camera flash. And there you go. One thing to keep in mind, unless you give it specificity and you say you want the title in this place every time, even with that, there is going to be some variation, um, you know, generation to generation between the photos. But that's not bad at all. So that's two. I like to test it with a fair skinned redhead person. This is Kevin, who works with us. I like to test it on the people who work here because I want to make sure all the offshoots work really well. There you go. I think we have a pretty good layout here. Let's see if it'll put a dog in the sweater while we move forward to get the group. You can see like all the public ones. These are all the ones that you have access to, but you feel free to add your own. Not terrible, you know, kind of looks just a little cut and paste. If I was doing this for pets, I would probably be a little bit more specific in what I wanted in the output. Let's see these three cool dudes. That works well with them. There you go. Look at Santa's bowl. Cyclops reindeer. Rudolph the Cyclops reindeer. Yeah, so that's Ugly Sweater Syndrome, the movie. And yeah, you could give it more context. You would be able to give it reference photos down here. If there's a specific style or layout that you're looking for, you can put those reference photos in here and then be specific in your prompt. Make the layout like this. Make the background like the reference photo. I would call this image two, the second image, which is why we have the title there, to ensure that it's using that and not, you know, trying to take from your first input image. Great. So again, I'll make sure that those two prompts go public. You can chop them up, use them how you want, and be able to, you know, customize them for your events, change the record covers, make them different bands. You can make them. At one point, I was making Taylor Swift era recreations of her album art. without using her actual album. I was finding prompts and making prompts that would give the output of people in the different eras. Just trying that out and seeing what was up. So you can go really far in that way when it comes to the prompts. All right. So with that, I'm going to swing back in to the presentation. Do, do, do. I'm just going to bring that right back up here. Here we are. Okay, so like I said previously, we're going to have a printing webinar that's coming up. You can scan the QR code. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll take you to the form sign up where you can sign up. We're going to go through all the latest updates that we just released in terms of the whole new print stack experience. It's totally unique, custom built by us to make printing easier than ever. There are some great tips to set you off or start you out on the right foot. So please, please join this webinar. Printing is our number one ticket that we get in terms of support with different WCMs, Aircast Pros, Print.Events, custom servers, custom print servers. We get a ton of support-based requests for printing. So hopefully this will help you with the future of printing. And that's Back to the Future prompt that I made to turn Tim into the dock with a DNP printer on a DeLorean in the background. So again, if you scan this on your phone or your device, or you just visit our Facebook channel, you'll be able to see the ability to sign up to this webinar. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat and I'll answer them. This QR code at the bottom is for feedback based on the webinar. Please let me know, how we can make this better in the future. If there's anything you would like to see more of, if you really would have liked music in the beginning or music throughout, or how we can make it a little bit more engaging and the content relevant as we move forward. That would be great. And I see there's a question, so it doesn't make sense to test them on ChatGPT or Gemini. We should test them directly on Booth.Events. So what I would say is if you're going to test your prompts on Gemini or on ChatGPT, is you're going to write the prompt like you would write it in Booth.Events, and you're going to give it a input image. And the first input image is always going to be kind of that reference photo. But when you test them in those environments, you're going to get a different output because it's not taking into account the way that Nano Banana is set up in Booth.Events. So you can test and make them and iterate them in those environments and bring them into Booth.Events, but then you're going to need to test them in Booth.Events and iterate on them there, because the dialogue and the language that you use in ChatGPT or in Gemini directly are not great representations of what you're trying to achieve through using a photo booth. Traditional AI models have an input image, and then you type in your prompt, and that's it. And that input image is static. It's what you've given it. When it comes to a photo booth, there's an extra layer there because every single time you're giving it a reference image. So you need to be able to use words and wording that, again, casts a big net for success. Whereas when you're testing something siloed in ChatGPT, ChatGPT uses a different wording and input model than Nano Banana does. Every AI model is unique in itself and the way that you interact with it. So you can find success in directly moving prompts from ChatGPT into Booth.Events, but I do not recommend going right to trusting that prompt. I recommend iterating on it and making sure it kind of follows that format that we highlighted, where your first sentence generally should be in reference to the subject bracket S, subjects, and the second sentence that you follow is about preserving the features you want to be preserved in the photo. And then you go through and you're going to take out any personal nouns, any kind of things that are describing them besides subjects. The other thing that I find that people will come in with is they'll come in with ChatGPT prompts that just give blocks of text where it's like style, atmosphere, uh, you know, whatever, like, and then extra random words at the bottom. The model works best with simplicity. If you type it like a paragraph and you write it like you're talking to it, you're going to find more success than if you go style, atmosphere, clothing, and you're just writing bricks of text behind a colon. I found that to be way more successful. And a lot of people who are coming from like Snapic's AI model, that's the way Snapic's AI model worked a lot of the time was people would write and then they would have like a subtext where they would give it more negative prompts and subtext. I find that doesn't work great in the Nano Banana model. The best thing to do is kind of write it in a paragraph, write it naturally. Again, prioritize what's most important in the prompt and make sure that you move that up. And you can see how when I move certain blocks of text up in the prompt, I got better results. So you're going to need to play with all of those things when you're iterating. Hopefully that answered your question. We will be having webinars monthly, even more than one a month on different subjects. This webinar I will be running monthly. Obviously, the beginning of the content will be repetitive. It'll likely grow as I learn more or as we enhance our features, but the beginning of the webinar will be, for all intents and purposes, mostly the same. Just kind of creating the prompts will be best. If I put space between one sentence and another, does it change anything? Not necessarily. You can put spaces as you like. The most important thing is the flow of the prompt and making sure that it makes sense. I've had prompts where there's probably some public prompts there that have spelling errors in them or double periods or something like that, where I've just kind of gone through and made it, and it will still give me great results. It is forgiving in some ways and very punishing in others. The most important thing is that you test it. And when you take it to an event and you're testing it with people live in the event, you're getting real-time feedback. Take that feedback out of the event after and iterate on your prompt. If you notice it worked really great with duos, it didn't really work great with trios, or it worked really great with some people and not other people, try and dive into that and iterate. The prompts will go through multiple iterations after your events, and that's part of your duty of keeping up these quality prompts to making sure you're delivering really great experiences for your customers.